So today we are going to, we are going to present the idea on your investigation on one of the issues in second language acquisition. And everybody has designed the PowerPoint. So now it is time for you to present. Especially today we are going to listen to Hen and Anisia Iponda. Hen is about bilingualism. Anisia changed her topic. Instead of language transfer, she is going to present communication strategies in interlanguage. Yes.
We just wanted to add something. Actually, me also, it was about the issues faced by bilingual learners, but then I changed the topic to be strategies used by bilingual learners. I think it's going to be different, but because I didn't find many materials on the first topic that I wanted to do.
Okay.
So shall I start now?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute.
So Hen will be the first.
Okay.
So strategies by?
Yes. Okay. Shall I start, Ibu? Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hen Farouk, and I'll be presenting on second language acquisition. One of the topics is about bilingualism. One of the topic concerned with bilingualism issues. So this is gonna be the outline of my SLA paper based, inshallah, for second language acquisition final project, inshallah. So the title of my paper is gonna be like that: a comparative study of language. Can you see all my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the title is going to be a comparative study of language learning strategy used in Turkish language as a foreign language class, monolingual Arabic speaker and bilingual English Arabic speaker. So to explain the title, me myself, I'm part of a class, Turkish class, and we have a lot of friends. Some of them are monolinguals. They only can speak Arabic as native language, but they cannot speak English. And the other learners in the same group, they are bilinguals. I mean, they can speak English and Arabic, including me. But of course, I didn't include myself in the research since I am the writer and the researcher myself. This is about holding a comparison between the strategies used by monolingual speakers when learning a language versus bilingual speakers when trying to learn another language, in addition to the two languages that they already can speak fluently. So background of the study, I'm talking about language. Language plays an important role in our life as language is a mediator that helps humans to communicate their needs and be able to fulfill it. The process of acquiring languages differ from one individual to another. So we have the aspect of individual differences. Every learner has his or her own style and strategy that they use when learning something. The learning strategies are the techniques or the tools that the learners use to achieve their goals by having proficiency in the language they want to learn. According to Oxford 1990, learning strategies are actions taken to enable learners to make the language learning process easier and more efficient and to be transferred easily and applied to other contexts and situations. So to explain that, in language we have context, we have situations, and we have individual differences defining, for example, if I'm teaching a class that have a lot of learners, many learners, each of them has their own or his own style. So that takes us to the aspect of individual differences. And if people have different backgrounds, different educational backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and educational as well, so they probably have different ways in tackling or learning one thing or one language. So what I mean here is that if we have monolinguals, Arabic speakers that have never been exposed to a different language or a second language, they cannot speak any language except for their mother tongue, versus the people who can speak two languages. Does it differ from one person to another? Actually, speaking of myself, being a speaker of English and actually I learned a lot of languages, many languages. So that helps me a lot, especially the language that helps me the most to be able to achieve progress in many other languages is English. But here in this study, we are trying to experiment like in an objective way. I mean, devoid of my own experience, personal experience. That's why I'm investigating this. Um, so having individual differences takes us to the fact that maybe monolingual speakers versus bilinguals have different strategies used. So language learning strategies are tools used by learners to make the learning more efficient. The more the learner tends to use strategies, the more they are successful. And that actually, according to a study made by Bialystock, 1981, Chamut Cooper, 1989, Oxford, Nikos, 1989, Park, 1997, all of them made a study that proves that successful learners of languages tend to use strategies more than other learners. Since language use varies according to situation and context, and learners are individuals, so they differ as well in using the techniques. That's why this study attempts to investigate differences between the strategies used by monolingual of Arabic versus bilingual English-Arabic speakers in learning Turkish as a foreign language. We have 20 students, 20 learners, all of them are native speakers of Arabic, and they join a Turkish class to learn Turkish language. They are from different educational backgrounds, but all of them, their mother tongue is Arabic language. So, research questions. The purpose of this study was to investigate the language learning strategies used by monolingual and bilingual speakers in learning the same language, namely Turkish. The first research question, what are the language learning strategies employed by monolingual Arabic and bilingual English Arabic speakers in learning Turkish in ATL or Turkish as a foreign language class? The second question is going to be, what are the similarities and differences in the use of learning strategies between the monolingual group and bilingual group of learners? The purpose, of course, to define those strategies employed by monolingual versus bilingual speakers in the same Turkish class. And the second one is going to be to explain the similarities and differences in the use of learning strategies between both of the two groups. So the methodology, the researcher uses a qualitative approach. The first group consists of 10 learners of Turkish who are monolingual and they all have Arabic language as their mother tongue. The second group consists of 10 learners who are bilingual with different degrees of fluency in English language, but Arabic is also their mother tongue. The students from both groups majored in different departments. For example, chemistry, humanities, medicine, and commerce. We have varieties in the classroom. And the other group, as I explained, both of the groups have different majors. So in case, just to know that they have individual differences and coming from different backgrounds also. Evidence to being bilingual, the researcher asked the bilinguals to self-evaluate themselves, their skills in English language by speaking to them. For Arabic, they are ready, no need to measure it because they are already native speakers. For English, I just asked them to self-evaluate themselves and their proficiency skills in English language. 6 of them evaluated themselves as intermediate speakers of English language, and the other 4 evaluated themselves as advanced speaker of English language. So the instruments for this study is going to be, the first instrument is going to be the Strategy Inventory for Language Learning Cell by Oxford 1990. It was used to define the language learning strategies used by the learner. In this study, the cell inventory used has 50 aspects. They are divided into 6 main categories: memory, 9 aspects; cognitive strategies, 14 aspects; compensation strategies, 6 aspects; metacognitive, 9 aspects; affective, 6 items or aspects; and social strategies with 5 aspects. The second instrument is a questionnaire in an editable PDF format conducted with each of the 20 learners. The researcher explained the strategies to them and asked them what are the strategies that they used. Of course, I explained to them first what are the strategies, just to draw their attention to the academic terminologies, because they do not have background or they're not aware of it. So I just explained it to them simply as I could. Then asking them to rate when they learn one language from 1 to 5 based on the Likert scale. The one given the score 5 is the one used the most. 4 used often, but not as often as number 5. Then 3 used with not favoring or dislike. 2 slightly used, and 1 never used. The answer given by them were classified based on Oxford 1990 as high usage, medium usage, and low usage. I also have the questionnaire. I have it. This is a format made by Oxford 1990, but of course I got it customized to be if fit in the context of Turkish language. I have it. Inshallah, I'll open it after the presentation. Data collection and analysis. The interviews were conducted by giving the students a questionnaire, including all the 50 aspects, as explained, to highlight the ones that they use according to the rating criteria explained earlier. The researcher explained the learning strategies and asked them to give answers based on the instructions. The researcher explained the study itself. Why are we doing that study? What's the purpose behind doing that study? And gave them 3 to 5 days to give their answers on PDF editable format and send it back to the researcher. After the implementation of the questionnaire were sent by the participant to the researcher, who documented their answers and took notes. Oh, I already explained that. So about literature reviews, I found a lot of studies that already searched in the same topic, and even I got one of them as a model to build my paper on. Of course, everything got changed, but it was the topic that got me interested, because in the beginning I thought that I wanted to do it in just bilingual speakers. Then I thought if I do it, the strategies on bilingual speakers, then how can I see the difference between the usual use of strategies by natural or normal learners versus those who can master 2 languages. So I just decided to make it a comparative study between both. So the first study is a study entitled Language Learning Strategies Used by Bilingual School Aged Children by N. Bourdi Oliver at 1998, that aimed at investigating the language learning strategies used by 58 bilingual primary school aged children. The study also investigates whether the type of language learning used by those young learners is moderated by or not. This study focused on the cultural background of the learners, because they were from Australia, Sydney, I mean. The study also focused on the fact that they are young learners. So the aspect of age was considered in this study. The background of the learners and the age of the learners. Another study entitled A Comparative Study of Language Learning Strategy Used in E-English as a Foreign Language Context, Monolingual Korean and Bilingual Korean Chinese University Students by Kyon Sim Hong Nam, Alexandra G. Leval in 2007. It was done on the learning strategies used by learners, holding a comparison between both monolingual Korean language speakers and bilingual speakers of Korean and Chinese. Both of the groups were learning English. So the context was English as a foreign language context. The results of both studies differ greatly. I mean, in aspect of the strategies that came as results. Another study that was done to investigate similar topic to that of the research, which is entitled Learning Strategies in Second Language Acquisition, but that study was done by Jenny Montaño Gonzalez in 2017 and explored the 4 learning strategies when being in practice in the context of EFL. As this study uses a different approach and different objects of research as well, This study is investigating strategies, learning strategies generally, focusing on the aspect of the learner themselves, whether they are monolingual, bilingual, or multilingual speakers. So it's mainly like a general study. It didn't focus on some aspects to investigate further. I mean. The theory used here, of course, I depended mainly on the language learning strategies proposed by and developed by Oxford 1990, which can be divided as follows. They can be divided into direct and indirect, and then subdivided as follows: affective strategies, then language learning strategies, memory, compensation, cognitive, metacognitive, affective, and social. And maybe I don't want to waste time by reading all the aspects because we already studied those. But mainly, memory depends on the memory by memorizing or writing words, and cognitive by practicing and receiving and sending to practice analytical skills, and compensation strategies. For example, guessing a word that you missed or you forgot, then by trying to use a different or a synonym word. And metacognitive by centering your learning, arranging your planning to have more planning abilities. Effective strategies to be able to lower your anxiety and to be able to be self-composed more, whether it differs from one learner to another, they are affected by affective factors or not. And social strategies, of course, they are mainly about practicing and having a partner to practice with, emphasizing with others, cooperating with others, and asking more questions. So results and discussion, each group based on their answers in the questionnaire were divided into high use, medium use, and hardly use any strategies. Each of the two groups were rated based on the usage of the 6 strategies based on their answers. So let's come to the discussions. Strategies used by monolingual learners in this study. The strategies preferred by monolinguals were from highest to lowest as follows. In monolingual learner, I noted that they used mainly number one strategies that were used by them were compensation strategies. There were 8 learners who said that they used compensation strategies. Of course, after explaining to them what does compensation strategies mean and the aspects included within compensation strategies. And about metacognitive, there were 4 learners, affective 6, cognitive 7, social 9. That means that the one that was used the most compensation strategies are that the one that was hardly used by 9 of them decided that they want to disregard those social strategies. They hardly practice are 9 users out of the 10 learners of monolingual group. Strategies used by bilingual learners. The strategies preferred by bilingual were from highest to lowest. Strangely, it was interesting to me to notice that compensation strategies came first also, as 7 learners used it. Then comes social strategies, 7, cognitive, 8 out of the 10 learners, and metacognitive, 6, and affective comes the least, the hardly used strategies, with 9 disregarding it. 9 learners decided that they hardly consider the aspect of effective strategies when learning a language. That means the one that was used most is compensation strategies. The one that was hardly used by 9 users out of the 10 learners are effective strategies. In both groups, compensation strategies were used the most by 15 learners at high frequency. Because if we counted the number of the learners that they use those strategies in monolingual and bilingual groups, they are 15, each of them out of 20. So this is high frequency. The least preferred strategy was effective for bilingual by 9 learners, disregarding these strategies, while in monolingual group, effective were the least preferred by 9 learners. Disregarding it. So that takes us to the aspect that if the strategies that were least affected, that were least used by bilinguals and monolinguals, is it by monolinguals? Metacognitive? Yes. Uh, yes, in both groups, social, in the first group, social, and in the second group, affective. So in monolingual, social, so they hardly practice any language. In bilingual, it is affective. They hardly get affected by factors of anxiety or fear, fearing to failure, or any psychological aspects. So that maybe tells us about the learning process of each of the two groups. That's already explained. So that takes us to analysis that actually there is a difference. Actually, in the strategies that were used most by both of them, there was no difference. Because both of the groups used compensation strategies as the strategies used most by both of them. But when it comes to the strategies that were used by both of them the least, they had differences. Because actually, as I explained, monolingual learners, they used social strategies the least. Maybe that tells us that they do not practice enough. But when it comes to bilingual speakers, they use the strategies, the effective one, it was the least. So maybe they do not get affected easily by other psychological elements that probably would make the learning process more efficient and goes smoothly, is easier than the other group. Um, So the conclusion, the study aimed at holding a comparison between differences between monolingual and bilingual in learning a language. The study, Turkish language, the study proves that the strategies used highly by both of them are different when it comes to the strategies disregarded by both of them or least used by both of them. The same applies to the strategies with the least usage. The strategies preferred by bilingual explained that it was compensation, and the strategies for bilinguals, monolingual also were compensation. For monolinguals, affect social, it was the least used, and for bilinguals, it was affective, the least used. Then this is the conclusion of the presentation. I hope it was clear. Actually, I want just to show you the questionnaire. Ibu, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me show the present. This is a very popular questionnaire format developed by what's her name? Oxford. Just a minute. So here the name, date, age, sex, mother tongue, second language, third, and other languages. How long? But what I want to draw your attention, my friends, too, in the class, those aspects about each of the strategies. For example, if I want to ask them about, I think of relationship between what I already know and what new things I learn in Turkish. I use new Turkish words and sentences for each of the techniques or the strategies. For the 6 of them, there are some aspects to make the students understand whether they are, because they won't be able to tell if they do not have questions that cover those aspects. Those 50 items subdivided from the 6 main categories or 6 categories of strategies used in this study. So for each of them, we had some points to ask them so they can evaluate, and then I collect the questionnaire from them, and I keep taking notes for which learner. And by the way, because the time was tight, I didn't get the chance yet to collect the questionnaire from all of them. But mainly some of them told me versus notes that because you already answered, they didn't that they were the type of learners like that. So the results need to be more accurate, I'm just telling that for more credibility reasons, just to be credible, because not all the researcher, not all the participants of the study answered the questionnaire yet. So the results maybe in the final paper, inshallah, maybe a little bit changed. So that's it. I mean, please give me your feedback if you think there are any mistakes. Please correct them to me, because honestly, I changed the topic also recently, so I didn't have time um, to make it like more fixed or more to build my argument really strong enough. So if my friends, classmates have any comments, I'd be glad to hear them. And of course, I'd be glad to hear your comments as well, Budeli. So that's it, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Most
So
welcome.
we still have we have time. We have 15. We have 20 minutes to discuss.
Yes.
So I'm inviting you, the participants, I mean all the students, to participate in this discussion. So now it is a Q&A session, question and answer session. Okay,
Yes.
so who will give questions, comments, or maybe suggestion, giving suggestions for the betterment of the article or the paper of hand dealing with uh, learning strategies by monolingual and bilingual learners of Turkish. Okay, who will give questions? So I think the discussion will make the paper much, much better. So it is possible for the writer or the presenter to uh, revise or maybe to modify in order that the paper is eligible for publication.
Yes.
Please give question, suggestion. So after presentation, Ken can develop the idea in this
Yes.
PowerPoint to be a good article. And then you have to, in terms of the format, you have to check the journal that you are going to submit your paper to. So you
Yes.
can follow the organization on the format of the paper submitted to the journal. Yes, Stella, what is Stella? Stella is giving question. Yeah, but I think you, Stella, we will be grateful. I think Han will be grateful if you
Give me your feedback. Yes.
give more suggestion, ideas, or maybe inputs.
Yeah, sure, of course. Just a minute.
Or criticism. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it was Stella who gave me
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
to choose this
Feedback.
topic. So I'd be grateful to Stella if she gave me some comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sarparas, give her your ideas.
I just would like to know, like, what theoretical framework will you use? Like the theory that you could employ maybe to, are you going to look at the learning strategies theories or more of the bilingual theories?
Yeah, actually, maybe I need to add more aspects about bilingual themselves, since my main topic is about bilinguals. Um, so yeah, main is gonna be merged between both. I'm gonna develop that more in my article, inshallah, and final paper. So maybe I need to add aspects, a theory about bilingual themselves, maybe the nature of bilinguals. Maybe we need to add another research question about the issues faced by bilingual speakers, because here we are kind of talking about their advantages. Maybe they have more advantages over monolingual speakers if they can learn. Maybe this is the main, it's not the main aspect, but it's kind of implicated within this study, that maybe those who can speak many languages or two languages or more, they have power in learning more than monolinguals. But I didn't those speak about bilingual themselves, about the theories, um, about bilingual themselves. And by the way, I changed the topic because I didn't find many papers, good ones, about bilingual issues seriously. Actually, I tried to find a lot, but then every time I would find articles that written by amateurs. They are not like academic writers. Then I was in short of materials. I was in short of studies, so I decided to change the topic. But maybe I need to look more for some theories about bilinguals that were developed by academic writers and researchers, to merge it with the learning strategies developed by Oxford 1990, the six strategies, in addition to merge it with a part about theories about bilingual themselves, bilingual learners themselves. It's going to be more integrated or comprehensive if I did that. And actually, it's a very good idea. Thank you, Stella, so much.
Yeah, yeah. And also don't forget about the issue of giving the challenges. I think it will also be quite effective because now you'll be looking at monolinguals and bilinguals. Are there challenges that they face? Yeah,
Yes.
that addition is also
Yes.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if I added more aspect to that research, it's gonna be what are the issues, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I added the a third research question, like what are the issues faced by um, bilingual speakers versus monolingual speakers, because maybe if I added that question, maybe I need to reshuffle the whole paper. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So I
just see
don't
how
know.
you do it.
Yes. So maybe I need to think more, but for sure,
Okay.
I need
Thank
to
you,
include it
Stella.
in.
Yeah.
I need to
Thank you,
include it in that.
Stella. And then I think I agree to Stella too. But I mean, something more crucial dealing with this research is, I think many times Hen said that learning strategies can make the learning process efficient. But in this investigation, there is no effort to find out the efficiency of the learning strategies.
Yes.
So it is only elaborating or, I mean, explaining what strategies they use without comparing the learning strategies and the success of their learning or the
Yes. Yes.
efficient learning,
Didn't consider that. Yes.
as you mentioned. And then in the theory, I think you still have to develop the theories that you have to refer to, besides talking about bilingualism, monolingualism, and then bilingual learners with the learning strategies, monolingual and bilingual. Why did you compare it? I didn't see the essence of this investigation. Why did
Uh,
you compare them? It is to
actually,
answer to see the dominant learning strategies used, and then what for?
maybe because actually me myself, when learning languages, I notice a difference that being able to speak English helps me much better than other classmates in Turkish classes, for example, and in Urdu classes also, in Hindi. for example, me, when the instructor asks something and I try to Google it and translate it from English into Urdu or from English into Turkish, it's much more accurate and it helps me most of the time to find materials. So that made me myself as a researcher. Maybe this is affected by my own subjective view, because me myself, I think that people who can speak more than one language, they will have different techniques and different strategies that are subconsciously or used by them, or maybe consciously, when learning a language, different from other speakers. And I notice it most of the time, and I thought it would be interesting to hold a comparison to see the difference. So to prove that, yeah, really, people who can speak two languages, they have different strategies than those who can speak or monolinguals or one language.
Okay. And then
Yeah, that,
what is the purpose of using the second instrument? And while I didn't see other factors why they prefer such strategies.
didn't ask them about that. We didn't ask them about that.
You do
Because the
not.
questionnaire, yes,
Actually, if it is qualitative, so qualitative research, and then your research should be more explanatory instead of
yes,
descriptive. But I think talking about percentage or numbers, I think in presenting the result, you should use percentage, not numbers. Nine
yes,
from what? 9 out of 10 is very high, but 9 out of 100. But we can see if you use uh, if you use quantitative, but it is to show the tendency, to show the trend of the learning strategies. Okay, but then you have to continue. What is the meaning of the tendency there? What is the meaning of the trend?
yes,
So that's why questions related to factors, related to reasons, and maybe indicators or maybe other other aspects, then will strengthen your analysis. Will strengthen your analysis. So that's why I suggest you uh, to develop your topic. So it is not only elaborating, because to make the paper eligible for publication, we have to have more complex issue.
yes,
So instead of having only one variable, that is learning strategies, you are trying to integrate or maybe to combine another aspect like the success. So how learning strategies can determine the success of learning. So you have to investigate such idea
yes,
between monolingual and bilingual person or bilingual learners. This will be more challenging, and I think will be more informative. And we do not only see, I mean, what they use, but how they use it.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. And
That
then
was
the
very good.
next,
Thanks.
yeah, because we do not have much time. Okay. So I will put directly to notes. And then in discussing the result, you have to compare. You have to compare the result, your result, with the theories, with the previous study result, or with the result of the previous studies. How can you place your position, your result with the theories that you refer to. Does your result add some ideas, some concepts of the theory? Or maybe your result is against the theory.
Yes.
And I think if I see the reference you used, 1990, for the
Very
inventor.
old.
Yeah,
Yes.
inventor SILL 90. Can you find more current publication dealing with the instrument?
By the way, if you actually, this is one of the issues that I faced in trying to find a topic, is that every time I find a topic, I find that it was not a very recent publication. And actually, I considered myself this fact. I considered it. I was thinking those are very old, but I didn't find any reason. Maybe I need to look for more. But actually, um, my PC, my desktop, just a minute, actually, have all those tabs about topics, and I chose some of them, all of them. So most of the topics that I found interesting and that helped me to develop a paper myself were unfortunately were old. I mean, and
Yeah.
maybe this is one of the problems with second language acquisition generally. I noted that most of the papers are old publications. I mean, maybe it has to do with bilinguals. I think in different topics, maybe we will be able to find more recent publication, but still, I know that they are old. I didn't like that. I tried to find more recent publications, inshallah. I tried to
Yeah,
do it.
this
Actually, I tried, but yeah, inshallah, I tried to develop it more considering all the aspects that you highlighted.
or
Inshallah.
maybe this topic is not quite
Viable.
quite yeah for
Yes,
today's topic.
yes, maybe, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's enough for 10, and then do you still have any comments or any suggestion?
Yeah, for me, I just had a problem. I just wanted to have increasing number of students, but that wouldn't be available because since the learners in the class, because it's such a waste. I feel bad that I do a lot of effort just on 20 learners, because I noticed all the strategies that have been, all the studies that have been done on a similar topic had like a big population. I mean, like 400 learners, and maybe for me, I just can't do it on 20 learners. I hope they can do it on more, but that wouldn't be available. So yeah,
Well,
that,
Han, one more question I forget to ask
yes.
you. How did you choose the respondents? You have 20. How did you come to 20 persons or 20 learners?
I have them in my Turkish class.
Also, they are your learners?
No. Actually, me, I'm a learner themselves. A learner as themselves. They are my classmates in the Turkish class.
Oh, okay.
So I just investigate
So
and take
yeah, I
notes.
think you have to mention the students come from. I mean the students' background, the
Ah,
learners'
yes.
background. Are they studying at what level? And then I think you have to identify the groups, what they are,
Yes.
and
Actually,
then
I did
how
that
to
slightly.
how to choose them. How to choose. So 20 from 100 or 20 all only 20. So the population only 20. It means something in research. It means something.
Mm.
You get 20 from 100 means different from 20 from 20.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you have 20 from 20, meaning that you have 100% of population, and it's very good.
Yes.
But if we have a big number, it is not good. 20% out of 100 is only 5%.
Yes. Yes.
It's too small. Okay. So when you have to make generalization, it is too small. The representation is too small. Okay, so it means something. So that's why you have to to mention how many percent, or and how did you choose them? How did you select them? Did you use purposive sampling technique, or did you use random sampling technique? They have different meanings. If you have criteria, and I think one of the criteria is whether they are bilingual or monolingual. And how can you check that they are monolingual? It seems hard nowadays. It seems hard to have someone monolingual, because they may be bilingual persons, but the codes that they are acquiring, or that they acquire, is not language, but maybe dialects, or maybe variation or style.
Yes.
According to Hudson, it is impossible for someone to be monolingual.
Really?
It's hard to find. So that's why you have to define what do we mean by monolingual. Are you sure that the students, the monolingual ones, are not or were not exposed to any language? So
yes, because they are speaker of Arabic.
what about in the speaker? I mean, in the education, in their school, English is not exposed to them. They do not learn English.
Yes, for sure. But then they do not speak it. I mean, they are not bilinguals. I mean.
Yeah, but they acquire. They acquire English. They learn English.
Oh.
They learn English, and they are trying to get acquaintance with English, to get familiar with English. Maybe for reading, or maybe for listening, but not for speaking.
So if this,
yeah.
so it does mean that they are kind of bilinguals, but even if they don't speak it.
If even they do not speak, if English as a foreign language, I think they don't speak English. Like me in Indonesia, we don't speak English, but sometimes we mix our English with our Indonesian. And it is an indicator of bilingualism if you mix.
Yes.
So I think you have to be, you have to consider the criteria, how to choose them. If you want to publish your paper. Okay? Yeah. Well, I think it's enough for you. And then
Thank
now
you so much.
We move to Anisia Ifonda. So this discussion is not only, I mean, this lecture, yeah, or this presentation, on the presentation is not only presenting your topic, but we want to read something, especially for your publication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ivo. It was very helpful.
Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, Alicia.
Maybe
Well,
I need to stop sharing.
I clicked your name. I clicked your attendance. So you were in the hospital. What did you suffer from, Sarah? Halo, Sadaf.
Hello.
Hello, are you not well today? I hope that you.
Yes, ma'am. I am well, but my mother is not well. She's in hospital. That's why I was here.
See. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
you visited her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I
Please.
understand you. Okay, let's continue our discussion.
Okay.
Fonda, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Good afternoon, Ma'am Deli and my friends. I'm Ifonda, and today I will present my research. The title is Communication Strategies in Interlanguage of Indonesian Learners of English. Okay, here's the background of the study. So why this study is important to conduct? Because learners who ever try to interact or express themselves with other speakers in foreign language will certainly have suffered of annoying experience of wanting to say something but lacking the necessary vocabularies and linguistic structures, and also related to their motivation and self-confidence. And this statement also supported by Brown, 2007. And in his book, he wrote some of the issues that should be overcome by learners when acquiring a language. One of them is comprehension and production. Comprehension and production means learners can comprehend or understand more than what they can utter. So this is a kind of a challenge for a learner when acquire a foreign language. And research questions. I have two research questions. First, what type of language communication strategies are used by learners? And after finding out the communication strategies, then I will relate it to that. What are underlying factors affecting learners' English proficiency, or in other words, affecting learners' communication strategies? And purpose. First, to identify types of communication strategies that are discovered in my learners, and then to obtain as detailed as explanations as possible. Oh, I'm sorry, it's wrong. I mean, like, yeah, to obtain explanation as possible of the underlying factors of learners. Uh, Pardon my sentence over here. It's grammatically a bit wrong. Sorry. And here is review of the previous studies I have done. The first study, approaching the language of the second language learner, interlingual, and the models before. This study provide critical evaluation of the most prominent pedagogical models, which are constructive analysis (CA), error analysis (EA), and interlingual language (IL). So the similarity we share is the idea of interlanguage. The first study is talking in a broad concept, uh, three big pedagogical model, while mine is in interlanguage, but I even make it narrower. Also, the second, and in the second study, cross-language transfer of syntactic skills and reading comprehension among young Cantonese and English bilingual students. The study examined the roles of different dimensions of syntactic skill in predicting reading comprehension between across two languages with constructing structural properties, Chinese and English. This study also investigate the cross-language transfer in two languages, Chinese and English, but the focus is on syntactic skill and reading comprehension, while mine is in Indonesia and English, and the focus in verbal communication. The third, an investigation of motivation to transfer second language listening. The study took an alternative perspective, examining students' motivation to transfer second language learning. The fourth, dominant language transfer in Spanish heritage speakers and second language learners in the interpretation of definite articles. This study investigated dominant language transfer from English in adult Spanish second language learners and Spanish heritage speakers. Fifth, dominant language transfer in adult second language learners and heritage speakers. This study investigated first language influence in adult second language of Spanish Celtic. Six, introduction to the spatial issues, selective first language influence, and retreat from negative transfer. This study investigated impact of first language to the second language, specifying on negative transfer. So basically, there are two transfer, positive and negative. Positive is more like we try to achieve the goal, while negative is the topic or we change the goal with the goal. And the seventh, recovery from first language transfer, the second language acquisition of English double object by Korean speakers. This article examined the recovery process from negative effects of first language transfer and triggering factors in such process by investigating second learners' knowledge of semantic properties to English DO or double objects using the unacceptability judgment text with context. Eighth, the influence prior language learning experience of learning of unrelated and distantly related languages. The research provided evidence that learning one foreign language and learning it well makes learning another much easier. The ninth, the importance of language international knowledge transfer. This study examined the effects of language on transfer of knowledge within multinational companies. And the last one, communication strategies in interlanguage Galician students of English, the influence of learner and tax-related factors. This paper presented the development and result of investigation carried out in order to identify the use that Galician learner of English as a foreign language make of communication strategies. So from the 10 studies, I can make some conclusion that first, we share same idea about language transfer, but another is talk about like different scope. While for example, one specified on the semantic, another is in reading comprehension, while mine is in verbal communication. And furthermore, we also despite the similarity we share, we also have a lot of differences, such as the scope of the study, goal of the study, and subject of the study, and so forth. That's about review of the previous studies or related studies. And method of collecting and analyzing data. So first of all, I only have four learners or 4 participants in conducting this research. They are young adults in the level of pre-intermediate to intermediate level. Data were collected through pair discussion between me and the learner and via WhatsApp call. And the topic was related to daily basis, and the call lasted approximately 10 to 15 minutes. The learners were interviewed by private question, which was, how is your day? And the conversation got wider. So after all, learners' utterances then analyzed by applying Charon's 1977 communication strategies, and then discovered the underlying factors affecting learners' communication strategies. And we come to result and discussion. This is the theory or the idea proposed by Charon. So in communication strategies, generally there are 2 strategies: avoidance strategies and achievement strategies. Avoidance strategies is more like reduction strategies, and achievement strategies developing alternative plan, keeping goal constant. You can see in the corner, like the right picture. And for the last picture, this is the elaboration of avoidance strategies and achievement strategies. And this is the guideline as a guideline that I use to analyze my learners' utterances. And based on these guidelines, I discover this, or I find this. First, learner approximation. The communication strategies she used is approximation, borrowing, and language switch. Second, learner message abdomen, circulation, and language switch. Third, participant message abdomen, message reduction and appeal for assistance. For participants, message abdomen, message reduction, and language switch. So probably I will explain about what is approximation, and so forth. Amila. Approximation means like when we want to say something but we couldn't find the exact term, then we replace it with another term, or we instead of use this term, we explain the meaning of the term. Yeah, it's kind of like that. For example, here pigeonhole. So there if my learners couldn't, I mean, like for example, is pigeonhole. Another term for pigeonhole is letterbox. This is the example of approximation. And borrowing means the learner use L1 item or structure item in first language to convey their idea or meaning in second language. Message abdomen and a language switch. They can use a language switch means in the middle of conversation they use they switch it to Indonesia if they like suddenly feel blank, then they use Indonesian. Message abdomen means the speakers begin to talk about concept, feeling unable to continue or stop before reaching their communicative goal. This can be indicated when we say like so yeah, there's like a pause before we continue our speak. Our utterances, I'm sorry. And message reduction. Message reduction means the learner reduce their original message and reports the same idea but with less precision and detail. And also here, appeal for assistance. Appeal for assistance means if the learners couldn't find the term, then they will ask the instructor for the help. It means appeal for assistance. Okay, so this is just the explanation for the strategies I discovered in my learners. And from let's go back to here. This is the avoidance strategies and achievement strategies. So from these two general strategies, I discover or I see that my first learner use most of the items from achievement strategies. Second learner use one from the what is it avoidance strategies, and the two others is from achievement strategies. The third participant two strategies from avoidance strategies, and the last one is from achievement strategies. For participants, message abdomen, message reduction, this is from avoidance strategies, and language switch from achievement strategies. So from this, I can say that my first and second learner try to reach the goal of our conversation. I mean, like without avoid it or change the goal. But the third and fourth one are the opposite. They avoid or try to change the the goal of our discussion. So from here, then I come to the underlying factors. The underlying factors is I refer from the sum of the journals ideas that I read in the journals, and also from our previous class in what is it design syllabus. There we also talk about some factors, and here's the factors. First is proficiency level. First, and the second is communicative context. Third, affective factors, and fourth, cultural factors. So proficiency level means here means that my learners that are already in the intermediate level are far better than my learners that are still in pre-intermediate. They can express their ideas, their feeling pretty well, rather than who are still in the pre-intermediate. And communicative context here is the topic we chose. We chose, yeah. The topic was about daily basis, and it's pretty easy, but probably it will gonna be different if the topic is about the sport or certain movies, because we require certain vocabulary, certain perspective to convey our meaning or expression of those topics. And effective factors, I saw that my fourth learner specifically, she is low self-esteem. She just believed that she couldn't be better in English, and I think yeah, that's one of the factors that why she tended to use avoidance strategies rather than achievement strategies. And also here motivation. My first learner, she was so eager to learn English because she has interest in English. That's why she is excellent rather than others. And also cultural factors over here. Cultural factors over here of for example, is in the language switch when they try to convey the meaning. I mean, like the utterances in English, but in English words, but in Indonesian pattern or in Indonesian structure. Yeah, that's the factor of cultural factors over here. We speak English, but with our still um, use our what is it? Our background, our um, yeah, mental background of first language. That's the example of cultural factors. So the conclusion, this is still so temporary. Probably I will do much or yeah, more efficient for the conclusion discussion and other parts. So the conclusion over here, first, learners' communication strategies from Indonesian to English are affected by their personal background or factors. And second, the more they get exposure or input, specifically listening and could be watching, the better they produce utterances, either in aspect of pronunciation or word choice. And also effective factors play essential role, for example, like self-confidence and motivation. These are the references, and that's all for my presentation. I will very welcome with all the comments and suggestions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ifonda. Okay, well, now we come to the Q&A session. I'm inviting all the audience here to give questions, suggestions, comments for the betterment of the paper, for that paper.
Hello, I would just want to ask Yvonne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's very good. MashaAllah. I like it. Just want to ask something. They are Indonesian students, right?
Yes, Hen.
Okay, Yvonne. So did you talk to them in English, right?
Mix Indonesia and English.
Because is it about English or I mean, is it about English? Is it like testing their communicative strategies in English or
Yes,
interlingual? Yes.
yeah, but for collect the data, we was spoke in English.
And you would code switch, right?
Yes, yeah. But
Oh,
in
yes.
the middle of the conversation, they also use what is it language switch. So when they uh, feel kind of have nothing to say or don't know to say, and then they just use Indonesia to express it.
Oh, yes, but mainly the conversation is in English, right?
Yes, yes.
And sorry, Yvonne, what was the strategy that was proved? Because actually, I just saw it like briefly. What was the strategy, communication strategy that was used most by most of them?
Most of them language switch.
Code switching, right? Oh, yes.
Yeah, language switch. So they
Okay.
sound. Yeah. Okay.
So what does it signify? I mean, that they mainly used code switching or switched from one language to another.
So because they have minimum vocabularies and they do
Mm.
not, and they confuse to express it, like feel kind of bland, and probably they are also afraid that it's gonna be wrong or right. Still, when you start a language, we tend to afraid to make a mistake.
Yes.
So to avoid it, it's better to speak in Indonesian.
Yeah,
I
so I
think
think that
I
takes
think
us to compensation strategies in my paper. So maybe we need to make two papers integrated. Communication strategies integrated with learning strategies. It would be integrated one, I think. I like it because one of the compensation strategies in the paper I presented earlier, it was that the code switch compensation strategies because they got stuck in one word, they don't know the word, so they need to make use of compensation strategies. So I mean this kind of relation between communication strategies and learning strategies. It would be interesting to investigate that. Maybe me, not me or you, but it would be good for a topic of research later, inshallah. Thank you so much. It was so good. I like it. I like this topic. Thank you, Ivanda.
thank you, Han.
Most welcome.
Okay, who's next? Who will be the next? No more? Okay, if there is no more uh, students giving questions or comments to Ifonda, and then I will share with you some ideas or maybe some questions or some ideas to you all,
Yes.
especially to Anicia. Well, the first thing that I have to remind you is about the references. Try to use references minimally 80% of the references should be published within 10 years. Minimally 80%.
Yes, ma'am. 10 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 years. If you have, for example, old reference, but it is the theory, and I think you have to make yourself eager to know the development of the theories. Maybe other people will, other people have developed the theory. So we do not only um, trust, yeah, or we do not only see the old theory, only maybe the original theory, but we also have to see the theory and the development of the theory. If there is a modification, there is maybe addition, if there is some addition, and then
Yes.
we can compare the old one with the new one or the developed one. So if we cannot find something new with the developed one, and then we can uh, uh, agree to the old one, and then we can use it. So you have to decide. You have to review the theories. Review the theories to see the development of the theories too. And then in writing previous research. Okay. Well, in presenting the review, you instead of showing the titles, you have to
Yes.
show the content, the finding of the research, and maybe the theories used, the finding and then the theories. So you have reviewed, you have evaluated. So reviewing means evaluating. It is not only describing. It is not only describing what happened in the previous studies, but you have to evaluate, and to evaluate them, you have to compare the previous studies with your topic. So you can classify them. Let's say you have, for example, you have 10 articles to review, and then you have to classify to see the similarities in terms of the aspect, in terms of maybe the findings. They are different only in the data. Or maybe you have another way to classify them. So from 10, maybe you will get 3 classification or 3 categories. And then after that, show your novelty. What is the novelty of yours?
The novelty of my study, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. Is
Compared to
the
the
subject
others.
of
Compared to the others.
yeah, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Compared to the others, what is
Compared to
the
the
novelty?
others,
Yeah.
the scope of the study, mine is in Indonesian and uh, specific, more specifically, only 4 participants, and while it's in they involve like 17 to 100 participants in the scope of the study, and also the what is it goal of the study. Goal pretty much same. I mean, like mainly in focus what is it subject of the study, scope of the study, or subject or scope of the study, and also in the theory. Some of them actually just review the theory of interlanguage, language transfer, ma'am. So just a few of them literally present the research, while some of them all is what is it? I'm sorry. Some of them were evaluate or review the theory. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So the novelty here is something new from yours. What is
Yes.
the newness? What is the gap you try to fill in? So after reviewing the previous studies, you will get the gap. You will get the gap. And then the gap will be filled in from the research that you are conducting. That you conducted. So.
Yes.
Okay, so novelty here is the gap. Something that is not studied by the other previous studies.
Yes.
Yeah.
But ma'am, I'm afraid that because my participants are only 4.
That is the point. That is the point that I will comment for the questions. It is too small, 4%. While you could find 100 respondents from the previous studies, and you only have 4. How can you dare
Yes.
to generalize, to make generalization, it is too very limited. I think you have to enlarge the respondents, the number. You have to make it bigger number in order that your study quantitatively will support the result.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Oh, ma'am, how many participants should I have?
Yeah,
Like the
it
minimum,
depends on the population you have.
the
We are
population.
talking about not only numbers but percentage. If we have
Yeah.
big numbers, and then you may need 25% of them. But if you have small numbers, maybe you have 100%.
100 participants.
Yeah, minimally. For quantitative study, 100 is and I think to reach or to get respondent 100 respondents now is easier because of Google form, because of internet. So I think you can reach a very big respondents, big number of respondents.
Yes, ma'am. But I
My questionnaire, I said you I have got 800 only in hours, only in several hours.
But ma'am, since I want to analyze their communication strategies, I have to at least have conversation or discussion with them. Is it possible to have like 100 discussion, one
Okay, so
with
you can focus on the learners group.
learners group?
Yeah, what kind of group do you have? For here is your private class or
Oh, they are my friends and cousins, ma'am. I asked them
yeah, it is
help
too
me.
limited. It seems it is not serious study.
Oh yeah.
And then
Also,
after studying the communication strategies, what will you do? So after knowing or after getting the communication strategies, this, after classifying or after identifying the communication strategies, and then what will you do next? That is what you have to think about. Because in publishing articles, we can propose something that is applicable to support the English learning process, or maybe English learning, or what. So it is not only describing, well, they use this. So what for?
yeah. So
Yeah,
like
so you have to
the
consider. You have to consider the applicable one, something that is applicable for language teaching or maybe for language learning.
yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
But I think it's gonna be hard to collect it if I keep using what is it verbal communication. So is it possible if I change like writing or reading that can easily to reach participants rather than verbal, ma'am?
Hmm.
Or what do you think, ma'am?
Uh, yeah, I think we can use a questionnaire or maybe DCT, discuss completion task, in order to invite them to produce language. But you have a triangulation method. You
Yes.
have to confirm. Okay, for example, now you have tried out 4 students.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to convince this, because it is too small, so you have to enlarge. Maybe by having a questionnaire or Google form. And yeah, and then try to support. I mean, try to integrate the result. So it is like your pilot project with the 4 students.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and then I think there is also another alternative. For example, you have not only one variable, but also another variable. What is the purpose of studying the learning communication? To see their proficiency or to see their learning success? Or what? To see the errors? Or what? Okay, so you have, to think of one more variable.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Okay, what about the others? Do you have any comments? Hello.
Hello, Ibu.
Yeah. Hello. Hen, yes.
No, actually, I don't have any other comments because it's good topic, but just needs to be integrated with many points. Just as you explained earlier, it's gonna be great, inshallah, if Yvonne added another variable and considered the aspect that you asked her to add them to the paper. Inshallah, it's gonna be a good for publication.
Yeah, we hope so. I think one thing that I have to say to you all, in publishing an article, we do not only describe our research result, but we have to offer the readers some concepts related to your topic. For example, dealing with learning strategies or communication strategies. What is the essence of studying those strategies?
Yes.
So in explaining the idea in the article, you have to use your result to support your arguments, your research, your evidence, the evidence. So the research result will be the evidence of your statement. So it is not only describing well, blah, 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 blah. It is undergraduate student writing that. It is to match the theory with the reality. But for you, you have to be more critical. You have to be more, I think you have higher thinking scale. So it is not only describing, it is not only proving the theories, but you may add, you may argue against the theory. Like what I did in my dissertation, but I think maybe you heard this. Even small, but I try to over something that has not been found in the theory that I use. Dealing with metaphorical meaning, dealing with the meaning of metaphors or the meaning of metaphorical expressions. In my research, I could find the third one, the literary one. Even though until now it is still debatable. So I have to support my research to strengthen my argument about my finding 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and still going on. But what is common is that, like what Kitty said, that there are two levels of meaning. There are two layers of meaning, literary and metaphorical or conceptual meaning. But I can find the third one, literary meaning. Something that cannot be traced. Yeah, but it is still debatable, so I'm still happy to find more evidences to support my finding. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you next 2 weeks after Lebaran. So we have next week we will be free, and then we will meet again on the 9th of May, or May the 9th.
Thank you so much.
The second presenters, yeah, the second group. Who are they?
Yes, Ibu, thank you so much, and happy Eid, inshallah, in advance. And we hope someday, inshallah, we'll be able to follow your model and be able to extract something that goes against the theory ourselves. Yeah. We hope we can do it, inshallah, one day.
Inshallah. Okay.
Thank you so much. And Salamat Hari Raya Eid al-Fitr in advance.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Most welcome. Okay, see you, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you so much.
Okay, see you.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you next 2 weeks. Okay, see you next week. Next 2 weeks.
Thank you, ma'am.